Alright, I'm gonna be talking about the social behavior of every single great ape besides humans because I haven't really figured that one out just yet. Orangutans are the second least social great apes out there, the first obviously being Discord mods. The strongest social bonds are created between a mother and her offspring. Dominant males are usually loners, really owning the quote, "it's lonely at the top." They really are like conquest.
I am so lonely. I am a victim of my own success.
Females, however, usually partake in peaceful social behaviors, especially with relatives. They don't really groom each other, almost exclusively communicating through vocalizations, facial expressions, and body language. They're a bit like the Buddhists of the Great Ape world, since they are extremely thoughtful, patient little creatures. They really think problems through. They aren't really aggressive all that much. They're just peaceful little guys. Even disputes between males aren't nearly as violent as in other great apes like chimps and gorillas. Some males don't develop these signature flangs or face flops and remain smaller. However, they can still mate with females, and they have to be a bit cunning and strategic to do so. They have to go on little stealth missions behind the alpha's back. Now, unlike some other apes on this list, orangutans will avoid conflict with humans pretty much by any means necessary. Some curious juveniles might observe from a distance, but adult orangutans will almost certainly flee instead of fight. However, they are still about 5 to 7 times stronger than the average person, meaning they could severely injure someone if they feel provoked and if they feel like they can't really flee anywhere, which usually happens in captivity, not in the wild. Bonobos are the only great apes with a matriarchal social hierarchy, being led by not strong independent females, but instead by strong females who know how to strategize and how to build strong bonds with other members in their group, which sometimes involves copious amounts of sex. Anyways, bonobos are a bit like the hippies of the Great Ape world. They go around about chilling wherever they can. They play, eat, and fuck. Pretty much the short way to put it. Now, I have to stress just how important sex is in the lives of bonobos. If some members of the group disagree, no fighting, just fucking. You know how there's a fight or flight response? Well, for bonobos, it's fuck and fuck response. No other option, no other way. But honestly, that's probably a better solution to problems than what we use. I mean, just imagine how many wars could have been avoided if the leaders of the world just got together and they were like, hey, let's just solve our differences by... Now, gorillas are the largest and strongest great apes, but they are gentle giants. Most gorillas will not attack you pretty much under any circumstance. They prefer to flee instead of fight. However, the silverback, the so-called alpha, the leader, is the protector of the group, meaning that if he feels like you're threatening him or any part of the group, he will attack, because that is his job. He might rip your spine out and eat it for breakfast. Now, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but gorillas can be up to 9 times stronger than the average human, so they could easily break bones and maybe even rip off a limb or two if you get a bit of adrenaline pumping in their system. Not to mention that their bite force is actually stronger than a grizzly bear's, meaning that if they start biting you, you're also incredibly fucked. but they will only attack if they feel provoked. So, if you ever find yourself amongst wild gorillas, although I have no idea how you would, then the smart thing to do is just not make yourself look big under any type of circumstance. Do not show your teeth because that is a threat to them, and do not look them in the eyes for long periods of time. If you don't do these things, then they will pretty much be chill around you. However, the last great apes, you can breathe the wrong way and they will still attack you. And it's pretty funny because these are actually our closest relatives in the entire animal kingdom, and they are also possibly the most dangerous. Now, chimpanzees are the insane criminal masterminds of the Great Ape world. Their social groups are male-dominated, but the difference between their social groups compared to orangutan and gorilla social groups is the fact that it's not usually the strongest male who is the dominant one, but the most cunning and smart. This is starting to look a bit like a Game of Thrones episode here, because there are political maneuvers left and right with chimpanzee social groups. These groups are usually unstable, and oftentimes there are revolutions and takeovers by lower-ranking members. Females are pushed a bit to the side in this sense, because they don't usually partake in these violent takeovers. Their status is mainly defined by the males of the group, mostly by the dominant male. The higher-ranking females who usually have a much higher chance of raising healthier and more viable offspring than lower-ranking females. Lower-ranking males are often mistreated and bullied heavily. And I don't mean high school bullying where they make fun of your shoes or your hat. I mean they get punched up, bitten, maybe ripped, maybe missing a couple of nipples, things like that. Sometimes there are intergroup conflicts, with one of them attacking another. This is the only example in primates, besides humans, where there is deadly intergroup warfare. They also commit infanticide, usually after a power transition. Males do this so that there is a higher chance of their genes being passed on. Power dynamics are constantly shifting in these social groups. Every member has to be aware of the other. They remember who groomed who. They recognize if someone is falling or rising in status. And they will also strategically campaign like a politician, sharing food in a strategic way with certain members of the group. Now, I would rather be attacked by pretty much any other animal over a chimp, because chimps are intelligent. They don't want to kill you like a lion or tiger, which would bite at your neck and pretty much kill you in a matter of seconds. Chimps want to cause as much pain as possible. They will rip your fingers off, break limbs, tear up your face, your body, everything, and worst of all, even rip off balls. Your genitalia will be gone. Attacks in the wild are incredibly rare, but not impossible. There have been a few documented cases where some chimps will raid and steal crops from people who have encroached on their habitats, and this has led to some children being kidnapped and killed. However, as with most animals, attacks mainly happen in captivity. There is a story about a man who raised a chimp when he was little, and then donated him to a zoo after he grew up, knowing that he couldn't take care of him properly. On one of his birthdays, one of the chimp's birthdays, this man brought a little birthday cake for him. However, the other chimps didn't know that this was his birthday, and they were just celebrating that. They felt that this was an unfair distribution of food. Why does he get a cake when I do not? Jealousy is a very strong emotion, and it led two chimps to attacking this man and his chimp. After these two chimps were unfortunately killed by the zookeepers at the zoo, the man was found without a nose, without many of his fingers, without feet, and without any love marbles. Now, what did we learn today? The closer a great ape is to a human genetically, the further you should stay away. And what great ape is the closest to humans? That's right, humans! And that is why I do not go outside at all. It is not because I have a problem. It is not because I am allergic to sunlight. It is because of this. Anyways, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.